Hello, college basketball fans. The Big D is live this Tuesday evening, breaking down everything March Madness, giving you my picks and figuring out who's going to end up making the Final Four in Glendale, Arizona. Before I tell you my March Madness picks, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page, and I only see this stream. But see all the Big D videos and podcasts I upload. Speaking of the Big D podcast, you can always check me out for all your audio listeners on Spotify and Apple. So obviously, for the last 48 hours, we've done nothing but make our brackets, get our bracket pools, make our bets, and then figuring out how many upsets are going to happen, who's going to be the Cinderella, which team or teams will be out early, and who's going to end up in the Final Four. And after 48 hours of rumbling, fumbling, and stumbling, I found out who's going to make it to Glendale, Arizona. First off, my initial impressions, I thought the committee did a below-average job of seeding teams. There were a bunch of teams that I feel like were seeded based on previous value, and teams that were seeded based on who the maybe the strength or maybe the committee's feel of a certain conference. The Mountain West might be that way. Even on the Mountain West, got like 6 teams in the tournament. The rankings were all over the place for the Mountain West. Like San Diego State's a 5. You could argue that might even be a little high for them, but New Mexico an 11. In fact, New Mexico probably needed to win that tournament. Otherwise, the Lobos probably don't end up in the dance. Nevada, you could argue in many ways Nevada was grossly underseeded as a 10 seed. Colorado State, which a lot of people didn't even think would be a bubble team, ended up in the first 4, playing Virginia later tonight. And then Utah State as an 8 seed. So it's peculiar how Boise State, another one where a lot of people would never have put the Broncos in the first 4, ended up being in the first 4. So it's I thought the committee did a poor job of ranking the Mountain West. And for that matter, I think the committee improperly ranked teams based on previous value. Gonzaga never looked like a 5 seed from the moment the season started. You could argue in many ways Gonzaga is at best a 6 or 7, yet the Zags ended up a 5. 4 in Atlantic. In many people's eyes was a bubble first 4, maybe even out. Ended up as an 8 seed in the East region. Michigan State, another one where, I think Sparty was okay, but some people thought, especially with so many upsets happen that Saturday and Sunday in these conference tournaments, where Sparty could have been out, but Michigan State ended up playing 4 in Atlantic. Will end up playing 4 in Atlantic and Brooklyn. So peculiar, none to say the least. And some fascinating matchups. I think there's one region in particular where it seems more stacked than the others. I'll get to that first. There could be, and one where I think, and somewhere questions are going to be answered on whether teams that haven't always won in March could finally get over the hump and make a deep run to Glendale. But let's start in the East region, where I think we can all say the Connecticut Huskies look like the number one team in the country again. I mean, obviously Connecticut went on an incredible run to the Natty last year, and even though this isn't the same team, a lot of guys left for the NBA or the Pastors. Charlie's done a great job there, and I mean, if you're a Connecticut fan, these 3 weeks from the Big East to first, second round this week, and then potential regional final in Boston could not have gone any better. Because if you're Connecticut, you end up in Madison Square, New York, Brooklyn, and Boston. Connecticut fans don't need an airplane for 3 weeks until a potential Final Four in Glendale, Arizona. And even though the East region's top four seeds all won their conference tournaments, no team possesses the experience, coaching, and recent championship determination like UConn. Sure, this isn't the same team that cut down the Nets in Houston, but Connecticut looked like the number one team, won the Big East tournament in Madison Square Garden, and we're going to dance looking to repeat. By the way, no team's repeated since what, the 2006 2007 Florida Gators? And so Connecticut will begin its quest for a repeat against the A-Sun tournament champs, the Stetson Hatters. Yeah, only an FGC alum like myself would know Stetson, but obviously Connecticut will be heavily favored here. Only 2 6 teams to beat one. Obviously, Purdue found that out the hard way last year, but this feels like UConn should get by this game easily, but crazier things happen in March. Florida Atlantic and Northwestern. Obviously, I already mentioned FAU maybe being a bit fortunate, but in many ways, this can be a reboot because even if Florida Atlantic got some big wins, beat Arizona and Vegas, this has not been near what FAU fans would have won. Maybe there was too much pressure making that Final Four last year, but FAU's not been the same team from last year. Lost early in its conference tournament, and the Owls are not flying high. And even though Northwestern's got some injuries, a tricky game. I mean, FAU can score, but Northwestern, even with some injuries up front, we know what Chris Collins can do, and it will be a tricky first round game. And then San Diego State and UAB. I mean, San Diego State, of course. How did 3 Final Four teams from last year's tournament end up in the same region? But San Diego State. Feisty defensive, of course, Shane Ladie averages, 21 plus a game. San Diego State got some good wins, beat Gonzaga, Utah State, New Mexico. I mean, we know what San Diego State's going to do. They always play great defense and not let you make threes. And UAB is a fascinating team. Went 23-11 in the regular season. Did play some did play some tough teams. Lost to Clemson. Lost to split with FAU. But it's an interesting matchup because UAB can attack, make free throws, and rebound. So who's going to win? It's a fascinating style to me, but UAB is a better offensive team. San Diego State's a better, more experienced defensive team. So what's going to happen there? But then, yeah, crazy story with Yale winning the Ivy League on a buzzer beater on Sunday, but Auburn's got a lot of momentum winning the SEC. Sure, the Tigers didn't play Tennessee or Kentucky, but Auburn goes 10 deep. Bruce Pearl's got a very deep squad, and a squad capable of winning games, even though it's a difficult region. I think Auburn's got a lot of depth, can play multiple styles. You want to run, slow it down, make shots, rebound the ball. On the ball, I mean, play defense, shoot the ball, and if and when a game gets into foul trouble, Auburn's got the depth to handle anything. So we'll see what happens in that game. And then BYU and Duquesne. How about Duquesne's story? Unbelievable story with its coach retiring, but BYU handling the Big 12 just fine this year. Beating Iowa State, beating Baylor, beating Kansas at Fall Allen, which hardly ever happens. And like most BYU teams, the Cougars shoot the ball really well. And a team that won't beat itself. BYU doesn't want to play a high-scoring game, but can play a rather efficient game. And of course, Duquesne's got some momentum from winning its conference tournament. And speaking of momentum, Illinois and Moorhead State. I mean, Illinois is a fascinating team going into this tournament. Not just because they won the Big Ten in Minneapolis, but Terrence Shannon's one of the best players in college basketball. We know what happened the middle of the year when he didn't play. Illinois wasn't the same team, but since he's come back, been a man amongst boys. Best player in Minneapolis. And if Illinois is going deep, this is one of Brad Underwood's best chance to make a deep run with the lineup. I feel like Shannon could have a huge tournament. This feels like a tournament made for him. And of course, Moorhead State. Both teams 26 and 8. Riley Minix, double machine. Machine did play. I mean, for a 14 seed, this team played a difficult not. I mean, some big boys in non-conference didn't play great against Alabama and Purdue, but Moorhead State's going to try and control the tempo. Illinois will try and run. So you've got one team that will look to push the pace, another team that will slow it down. So it's a fascinating game, and we'll see what happens there. Washington State and Drake. I mean, one of the best stories in college basketball this year. Washington State. I mean, end up as a 7th seed in the Pac-12s last year. Beat Arizona twice, which is this year. Great defense. Isaiah Jones and Miles Rice, one of the best backcourt tandems in college basketball this year. But Drake is a fascinating team. Played a great, and I mean great, Missouri Valley championship game against Indiana State, which a lot of people thought Should have been an NCAA tournament team, but that's a story for another day. 84-80. That was one of the best games over championship week. I mean, beating Nevada. Drake does really well offensively. Tucker DeVries is a beast. Could easily put up 20, 25, 30 points. So it's a game. I mean, Washington State's a great defensive team. Drake's a great offensive team. So we'll see what happens in that one. And then Iowa State and South Dakota State. Obviously, Iowa State's got a lot of momentum to win in the Big 12. Not just beating Houston, but destroying Houston. A lot of people would have considered Iowa State maybe being 1 seed. But Iowa State's probably a little hard done not just getting a 2 seed, but a 2 seed with defending with 3 other conference champs. And then Dakota State, I mean, it's Zeke Mayo because talk about a workhorse. This guy could put up 20, but I don't know if this is a great. This isn't a great rebounding team, and they don't attack. So I think Iowa State has got a good opportunity of not just winning the first round, but maybe getting a state win. And then in the South region, Houston and Longwood. Obviously, Houston 30+ wins in the regular season. Kelvin Sampson's done a great job. Great job there. Longwood. Struggle in the middle of the year. I don't think many people would have predicted them to win the Big South tournament. But this is a team that relies on second chance points. A team that could fight. I mean, yeah, Houston's better and better players and all. Could Longwood hang around? We'll see. And then obviously the 8-9 game. This is the Trev Alberts game bowl between Nebraska and A&M. Obviously, Trev Alberts, great linebacker for Nebraska, now likely heading to A&M, become the Aggies next athletic director. How about the job that Fred Hoiberg was done? In fact, I believe he just got a contract extension at Nebraska. Well deserved for what the Cornhuskers have done this year. I mean, I've done this year. It's Nebraska wants to control the pace. So if you get in an up-tempo game with Nebraska, the Cornhuskers could be in trouble. And A&M's been one of I would say, I don't know if you say best teams, but hottest teams coming into the tournament. Beat Kentucky, beat Tennessee, and then beat Kentucky again in Nashville. And when you think Buzz Williams teams, you think they can pound the glass, and the Aggies can sure pound the rock. Got a lot of momentum. I mean, A&M looked like a team that might have been on the bubble. And the Aggies played their way off the bubble with strong, consistent play toward the end of the season. Play so, and there could be a little Big 12. There could be a little Big 12 rivalry there, even though Nebraska's almost in the Big 10 and A&M's in the SEC. So there could be a little animosity in that game. And then James Madison and Wisconsin. It's just a little different Wisconsin team this year because Wisconsin usually tries to slow down, but the Badgers have picked up the tempo, and I like the way Wisconsin plays this year. Can score the basketball. Beat Marquette early in the year. Beat Purdue, Indianapolis, and a great another great play. AJ Storr and Chucky Hepburn really a really strong duo. It's funny. Usually, you think Wisconsin a great defensive team, but the Badgers are better offensively this year. Few teams are great offensively. And then James Madison. I mean, I don't care what tournament it is. A 5-12 upset is not always, but likely to happen. And James Madison will be a very sexy tournament pick. 31-3 in the regular season. Beat Sparty. Right. And talk about a team that pushes the pace. James Madison would give anybody a run for his money. So there could be some high flying in Brooklyn this week. So I think this team's got a lot of points potential. It's got a lot of scoring potential. And then Duke and Vermont. Obviously, yes, Duke has been upset a couple times in March Madness, and we know this isn't a great Duke team. It still feels weird not seeing Coach K coach on the Duke bench. But for Duke, obviously season starts this week, and can Todd Filipowski A, keep his head on straight, not get involved in any of this flop, and B, keep himself out of foul trouble, because if so, Duke can make a deep run. If not, Duke's going to get upset early in this tournament. I'm not sure Vermont's the team that could threaten Duke, but maybe Wisconsin, James Madison, or eventually Houston. And then Texas Tech and NC State. And what is it? Crazy run by NC State, pulling a Kemba Walker, winning 5 games in 5 days. I'm not sure how much energy the Wolfpack will have left, but job not just winning the AC tournament, but maybe the Wolfpack keeping their coach. And then second, I think the Big 12 put 8 teams in the tournament, and Texas Tech 6 seed, beat BYU, beat Kansas, beat Baylor. Another great offensive team. So I think this is a game. This is a fascinating game because usually Texas Tech's probably better, but does the NC State's momentum help or hurt them because they played 5 games in 5 days, or will the Wolfpack feel fatigued with having expended so much energy in Washington, D.C.? So, I mean, NC State would have preferred. I think NC State would have preferred a Friday game compared to Thursday, but we'll see what happens in that game. I don't think, NC State hasn't won a tournament game in forever, which is a little surprising because I mean, remember Jimmy V's team in '83? And you talk about offense. How about Kentucky? I think the Wildcats could put up a few points. Oh, Lord. It's not a question of if Kentucky can score, it's whether Kentucky can stop the other team from scoring. And usually, Poly teams are young, yes, but this is a deep team. I mean, Kentucky might have two guys playing in the NBA next year off his bench, but I feel like Kentucky's got all kinds of potential. It could be potentially bad, maybe lose in the second round, potentially end up in Glendale. And I don't think Oakland's the opponent that threatened Kentucky, but maybe Marquette, depending on things, maybe some injuries, maybe a bad matchup. But see, by the way, speaking of injuries, there were a couple big time injuries. Kevin McCullough with Kansas dealing with a knee. Hunter Dickinson of Kansas with bum shoulder. Both those guys didn't play in Kansas Big 12 tournament. We'll see if either of them are healthy. Tyler Kolek, the last year's Big East Player of the Year, dealing with an oblique issue. Will he be ready for Marquette this weekend? Because if Kolek doesn't play, Marquette's got no chance of making a deep run. But if he plays, Marquette's got a chance of making a deep run. And then Braden Smith, we all saw Braden Smith's injury looked far worse than it actually was. Calf injury. Played in the Big Ten tournament, played in the semifinal against Wisconsin. So might not be 100%, but should be okay. And then, of course, Handlock, then the Florida big man who broke his leg in the SEC tournament final against Auburn. I hate when that happens. So Florida's a really good rebound team, but how will that change? Florida plays the winner of the Boise State Colorado. I mean, I don't know what to make because Florida can put up points with anybody. But I honestly feel like whoever wins that first four game tomorrow night has got a good opportunity of winning. I mean, Florida did play Florida 4 games in 4 days, so maybe Florida playing on Friday compared to Thursday helps. But I honestly don't know what to say. And then Marquette and Western Kentucky. Obviously, Shaka Smart's done a really good job again with Marquette. But this is going to come down to Tyler Kolik's oblique. If he's healthy, Marquette can make a deep run. If not, things are going to be hurting there. Set to the Midwest. Purdue. Purdue, don't lose in the first round again. Don't lose in the first round. That's my advice. Don't lose in the first round. And then TCU and Utah State in the 8-9. Utah State's, I mean, there are some teams that can slow it down. Utah State's one of them. So Utah State's going to try and play the game in the 50s or 60s. TCU, again, got some big wins in the Big 12. Beat Houston, beat Baylor. And unlike Utah State, the Horned Frogs will run. So never contrasting styles. One team slow, one team fast. So we'll see what happens. Gonzaga and McNeese. Now, this is again, another 5-12 team. 5-12 and show upset. This is a great Gonzaga team. This isn't the same team that almost won the national title a few years ago. Beat Kentucky, but again, struggled with consistency. There's no real NBA players. And yes, Morphew and the Zags always make the tournament, and when they make the tournament, always end up in the Sweet 16 team. But McNeese is a real fascinating team. Obviously, the big talking point will be Will Wade against Morphew. McNeese won 30 games in the regular season. And even though McNeese didn't necessarily play the strongest schedule compared to Gonzaga, can McNeese handle the spotlight in a potential upset? And then how about Kansas and Stanford? Obviously, Kansas, another team that we've got to look at the injury report. Because if Kansas is healthy, this is a team that can make a deep run. They've got the best coach in college basketball in Bill Self. Not the deepest team, but a team with experience, depth, and multiple ways to win. Now, Stanford's a real interesting team because this is the team that will run. That will not just run for 40 minutes. And against a Kansas team that's not overly deep, playing in Salt Lake at altitude. I know Kansas arguably possesses the best coach in the country. I think this is a potential trap spot. I think this is a potential upset spot no matter how healthy Kansas is. Now, Kansas could win the game by 20. But if the Jayhawks aren't healthy, maybe the altitude catches them, it's a potential trap spot. Well then, South Carolina and Oregon. Obviously, South Carolina, another great story this year. Coach won SC Coach of the Year, but Dana Altman, that's what he does better than most, and that's win games in March. And even though South Carolina is arguably a better team, I think Oregon, it's funny, a couple of weeks ago, wondering whether or not Dana Altman's time in Eugene was over. And Oregon won another Pac-12 tournament. So, even though South Carolina's story's been great, I like the more experienced coach here. Dana Altman's teams almost seemingly win the first game, no matter what year it is. So, see what happens there. And then Texas against Virginia, Colorado State. So, I don't know what to make of Texas. I was a little disappointed with the Longhorns this year. I thought they'd do better. I thought Texas would fare better. I mean, yeah, the Big 12 again was brutal. 8 teams made the tournament. But Virginia and Colorado State, even though, yes, first 4 teams might have an advantage with a game under the belt, this isn't a great Virginia team. And Colorado State probably shouldn't be anywhere near first 4, but I think Texas is better in both of them. So, and then Tennessee and St. Peter's, obviously. Obviously, we all remember St. Peter's as a 15 seed making the Elite Eight a couple years ago. And St. Peter's won't play pretty basketball. They're trying to muck it up. And Tennessee, It's one of these teams. There are 2 or 3 teams that I feel like need a big run in March, and Tennessee and Purdue are 2 of them. We all know what Dalton Knecht has done. Incredible year for the Vols. Tennessee's a great offensive team, but can they win in March? Simple. Can the Vols win in March? And out west, so in North Carolina, obviously the Tigers didn't even make the tournament last year, which stunned everyone. But see, North Carolina's back, 1 seed, a lot of experience, great head coach in Hubert Davis. Can North Carolina handle the moment and handle the spotlight? Should handle Howard or Wagner, whoever wins that. The first full game happening in a couple minutes. So, and then the 8-9 Mississippi State and Michigan State. Obviously, people in Spalding were a little concerned that the Spartans might not end up in the tournament, but Tom Izzo makes the NCAA tournament on a yearly basis. And Mississippi State was another great story. Played its way off the bubble. I don't expect necessarily a great, pretty game. I think it'll be a defensive struggle in Charlotte, but can Mississippi State handle the moment? Obviously, Michigan State's been there many, many times, but this isn't a great sporty team, so we'll see what happens in that game. And then 12-5, that would be St. Mary's and Grand Canyon. And St. Mary's actually started off really, really bad. Really, I'm like, what's going on with St. Mary's early in the year? But this team's lost, 1 game since the holidays? And you know what St. Mary's is going to do? They're going to play slow. This is not a team looking to push the pace 1 iota. Not a team I would expect a lot of run and fun. Try and slow the game. And I would not expect a lot of possessions, especially from St. Mary's. And from Grand Canyon, Bryce Drew is not. Bryce Drew's taken Grand Canyon to the tournament, 3 times now? Fairly consistent team. Good offensively, good defensively. I think it's a game that Grand Canyon would feel comfortable. The altitude favors Grand Canyon. Plus, get this, it's in Spokane, Washington. The Gonzaga fans might not all be in Spokane, might not all be watching the Zags play McNeese. Some might come to boo St. Mary's, so, because the Zags and Gonzaga and St. Mary's are both longtime rivals in the WCC. So. And then Alabama and Charleston. That's a bad draw if you're Alabama. End up a couple thousand miles from home. But basically, Nate Oates has done a very good job with Alabama. Not just a football school, but a basketball school. Mark Sears can get uber hot. And when I said great offensive but struggled defensively, Alabama's one of those teams. Yeah. You can put up points on that. And the College of Charleston. Some team, played Liberty, played Florida Atlantic. And you know, even on the 12-5 is a popular upset, 13-4 could happen. Deep team, and a team that won't be afraid. This can make some shots on the outside, potentially hang with the tie. And then Clemson and New Mexico. I mean, I'm intrigued to see this game because Richard Pitino's done a great job with the Lobos, and then Clemson, a team left out of the tournament last year, made darn sure there wouldn't be any issue this year. I mean, Clemson beat Alabama, beat TCU, beat North Carolina, a team that started out great, then ended not so well, but but Clemson's, you got them a 16. And but the Lobos are a fascinating team. Not only did they win the Mountain West tournament, but this is a hot team, and a team that and you've got two teams going in opposite ways. One team going hot, one team not going hot. So, what will happen in this game? I really smell an upset in this game, and Baylor and Colgate, going over 40 minutes. What else am I going to do? But obviously Scott Drew, Baylor, another good seeing in the tournament. Seemingly Baylor's always a threat. Even average Baylor teams can make deep runs in March. There've been upsets, Hunter and Georgia State a few years ago, but Baylor's a well-coached team. I'm not sure if this is a great Baylor team, but then again, there's no great team in college basketball. So I think Baylor can handle Colgate, but it's an interesting one. And then Nevada and Dana. Even Nevada fans didn't expect a 10 by the school's name on Selection Sunday, but I really like Nevada's chance to win. I mean, they're also seen. I feel like Nevada could actually be more like a 7 or an 8. So, and of course, I mean, Dane started the season well, but then didn't necessarily end it well. I feel like Nevada, I mean, for some reason the committee didn't like Nevada, but maybe the Wolfpack could be another deeper, could prove the committee wrong. And then Arizona and Long Beach State. And by the way, Long Beach State story is unbelievable. Because Long Beach was going to fire its head coach Dan Monson, and then of course Long Beach State ended up winning its conference tournament. So you get fired and then lead your team to the conference tournament in 1 week. And then Arizona, obviously Arizona was in the running for 1 seed, lost in Vegas. But if you're Arizona, this is a real fascinating team. Obviously, Caleb Love. If you look down the line, and I'm not saying you can look down the line. Arizona, North Carolina. Didn't Caleb Love play for the Tar Heels? might be able to knock them out of the tournament if everything happens. Arizona beat Duke, beat Wisconsin, beat Alabama, played Purdue, played Florida Atlantic, one of the craziest games of the year. 1 point instant classic. Got a lot of experience. Great offensively, great defensively. I know this team lost a couple times recently, but this is a team that can make a deep run. And maybe Arizona, you play a regional final in LA, and potentially a Final Four in Glendale, Arizona. I can't ask for anything more if you're a Arizona fan. Well coached, got all this, got a lot of experience and depth. So ultimately, my final. Wait, hold on. Wait. There. Ultimately, my final four is UConn, Houston, Tennessee, North Carolina, with UConn beating Houston for the national championship in Glendale, Arizona. So I believe the Huskies go back to back. Houston, even though the East region is probably the toughest, I think UConn's better than everybody. Really like Houston coming, especially playing a regional final in Dallas. Somebody's got to end this non-winning in March streak. So I think that's Tennessee. And then North Carolina wins a great Elite Eight game against Arizona, a game that I think could go either way. A lot of people like Arizona because it's in LA, but I think North Carolina is better. Maybe playing a strong ACC schedule will help. But March Madness is hard to predict. I mean, nobody's going to. I mean, I don't think anybody will go through an entire bracket without upsets. There's going to be an upset. There'll be big upsets. It could be holy you know what upsets. I mean, will there be a 16 being a 1? Probably not. Could there be a 12 being a 5? Perhaps. But March Madness is one of the most exciting 2.5, 3 weeks in all sports, and I can't wait to see what happens. So, thanks for tuning in to Big D's March Madness picks, and we will be back with more soon. But for now, the Big D is signing off.